And we are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience and have continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 6 seasons. Let's make it 7 in 2020. But enough of me. I'm here for you. On today's episode of the FB Show, we're going to continue our Week 3 game recaps, breaking down every single Week 3 matchup, all through the lens of fantasy football. Up next, the Chicago Bears and the Atlanta Falcons, one of the most thrilling games of Sunday afternoon. So if you are excited for this game recap, be sure to hit that like button down below like an open receiver downfield. Also smash that subscribe button like a power running back up the middle so that you never miss a video from me. Last but not least, you can follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. I've been loving the interactions I've been having on Twitter and Instagram and the DMs. A lot of fun fantasy conversation happening on those places. But let's get right into it. The Bears and the Falcons, one of the most thrilling games of Sunday. And of course, we're going to go straight to the box score, where the Bears are 3-0 to start the season. A come-from-behind victory against Atlanta. The Falcons blowing yet another lead. The Bears win this one by a final score of 30-26. Mitch Trubisky was benched in the third after the team was down 26-10. But Nick Foles came in and was absolutely electric in many, many ways. Foles, 16 for 29, 188 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Foles came in and immediately contributed to this Bears offense. David Montgomery, 14 carries for 45 yards, also hauled in 2 receptions for 9. Not the best game for Montgomery, all things considered. He pretty much busted for you if you started him. But Allen fucking Robinson, welcome back to being one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And all it took was for you to have a competent quarterback on your side, right? Allen Robinson, 13 targets, 10 receptions, 123 receiving yards, and a touchdown. He honestly probably could have had another, but it was a ball very similar to the Golden Tate touchdown versus Green Bay back several years ago on Monday night. Allen Robinson came down with it, so did the defender, and they ruled it an interception and not a touchdown. Anthony Miller bounced back from his goose egg last week, finishing with 2 receptions for 41 yards and a touchdown as well. The Falcons. Matt Ryan was cooking with no Julio Jones in this game. Matt Ryan, 19 completions, 38 attempts, still threw for over 230 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. He was going to Calvin Ridley early and often. 13 targets for Ridley, 5 receptions for 110 receiving yards. Todd Gurley got in on the action as well. 14 carries for 80 yards and a score. But Brian Hill, a guy who's been getting more and more play as the season has progressed. Brian Hill, 9 carries, 58 yards, 1 reception for 22 yards, and a touchdown. Also important to note that Russell Gage, a breakout wide receiver for the Falcons, left the game with a head injury, and Hayden Hurst caught 1 pass that was a 1-yard touchdown to kick off the contest. But let's talk about it, shall we? So, very, very important to note here. I really wanted to go back through and look at what Allen Robinson was doing with Nick Foles. So I have the numbers here, and this is from Michael Florio, Michael F. Florio on Twitter. You guys know him. He's the fantasy football analyst for NFL Network. So targets from Nick Foles, okay? And again, Nick Foles came in a pass-heavy situation. They were down by 2 touchdowns, and they needed to put up points fast. So Jimmy Graham had 7 targets. Allen Robinson had 6 of his 13. David Montgomery, Tariq Cohen, and Darnell Mooney had 3 each. Anthony Miller had 2, including that touchdown that won them the game. And then a bunch of ancillary pieces also had 1 each. But Jimmy Graham, Allen Robinson, and Anthony Miller all caught touchdown passes from Nick Foles. Also, something that's really important to note, Tariq Cohen did leave this game. He was carted off, and it does look like Cohen did tear his ACL. Super unfortunate news for him. He's a guy that's super valuable in PPR leagues because of his pass-catching ability and what he can do after the catch. And also just the fact that he is game script proof and the fact of when the Bears are trailing, he's going to be the one on the field and not David Montgomery. But Allen Robinson, again, he did all of his work for the most, well, I'll say he did half of his work. The majority of his work came when Nick Foles were on the field. Before Nick Foles came in, I believe Allen Robinson had 68 receiving yards. But afterwards, it was like 55 receiving yards and a touchdown. Should have been another as well. Again, 6 targets. So the volume is going to be there still for Allen Robinson. The targets were on point. I was really excited for Allen Robinson in this matchup because of the defense in Atlanta. It's not great. But then the main thing was he going to have a quarterback that was able to get him the ball? And God bless Nick Foles for being an accurate quarterback, right? At least to some extent. It's unfortunate because I do love Mitch. I've talked about this many times. Mitch is my dude. But owning Allen Robinson so far throughout the season has been a challenge. And to see him come through in such a big way, putting up, how many points did he put up today? I know he put up 17 in standard. But, to see him put up 23.5 points is such a blessing. Because I was getting real concerned about what Allen Robinson would be this season. Again, Anthony Miller had that really nice bounce back game after goosing last week. Jimmy Graham, I think, is actually going to be super relevant moving forward. Jimmy Graham had 10 targets today. 10 targets, caught 6 of them for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. Did I really not put Jimmy Graham on that graphic? I super did not. I was too busy focusing on Anthony Miller instead. That's tough. Jimmy Graham played really well, and I think he's actually a guy, like, this is not the first time this season where he's put up numbers. In week 1 versus Detroit, he had 1 touchdown, but he also had another one called back, so seeing him score twice isn't all too shocking. He is definitely touchdown dependent, but he's a guy that this team is looking for in the red zone. One thing that they do that's actually really common with him is they'll line him up outside or just have him break off from the line, and he'll be matched up with a cornerback. And that matchup is something where they're just going to post him up like a power forward in the paint and just have a jump ball situation for Jimmy Graham to come down with it in the end zone. I expect Foles to be the starter going forward. This was the question that we never knew what the situation was going to look like. If Mitch Trubisky would ever be benched, even though they did bring in Nick Foles for a shit ton of money. I think it's time. We just saw the way that this offense moved with Nick Foles on the field. Again, they scored 3 touchdowns in just about a quarter and a half with Foles under center after kind of struggling all game with Mitch Trubisky. It's time, and that makes me so happy as an Allen Robinson owner because I know that the targets are going to be consistent still, and just the opportunity, like the catchability of said targets are going to be there as well. So that makes me just feel a lot more confident in starting Allen Robinson week in and week out, even though I was probably already going to do so anyway. Moving over to the Falcons, can I say this? Dan Quinn needs to be fired by midnight. This is now back-to-back weeks where the Falcons have blown leads. This is not the first time, obviously. This is not the last. The Falcons are going to Falcon, and the words of the great Bomani Jones, you guys need to get off that narcotic. And it's tough. This team is 0-3, and that's unbelievable given the offense that they have, right? Again, I've been saying this. If the Falcons cannot score points, they will not win football games. And even in the sense of, hey, they just put up 26, which is a good enough number, they literally need to put up 50. And even last week, when they put up 38 against the Cowboys, that still wasn't enough. So I don't know what you do at this point. Matt Ryan played fine. Again, no Julio, and Russell Gage did leave early as well. Ooh, great play by Allen Lazard to start the third quarter there. Sorry, I got the Sunday night game going on right here as well. I need a big game from Eric Jones, okay? So Todd Gurley, this is something that I've seen a lot of people talk about, and it's just, what is Todd Gurley this season? 14 carries, 80 yards, and a score. That touchdown really was something that boosted his day, all things considered. Yes, he did finish with 80 yards, but it was one of those things where he really was just slogging through the day. The thing to me that's really encouraging is Todd Gurley's carry counts throughout the first 3 weeks, 14, 21, 14. So I know for a fact he is getting the work again on an offense that is going to move the ball. It is just a matter of, is Gurley going to get into the end zone, or is Calvin Ridley going to be the guy, or Russell Gage, or Julio Jones, right? This team does just have a lot of pass-catching options on it. And I hope that the volume for Gurley stays this level of consistency, remains this level of consistent, Brian Hill is a guy who's slowly emerging, like I said. 9 carries, 58 yards, and a score. Also had a little bit of work in the passing game as well. Just something to keep note of, I think. I want to go through his snap percentage. Still is not high, admittedly, but the usage, it looks like, just continues to increase, like 3 carries, then 9 this week. So they do like him quite a bit, and I know that Dan Quinn was talking about this early on this offseason, that he was still going to be involved. I actually saw Brian Hill get traded in my Dynasty League this week as well. So just a name to keep an eye on. Not a guy I'm going to go out and grab off the waiver wire, but just something I need to just watch closely as a Todd Gurley owner. Calvin Ridley things. Like the breakout is here. Who is that? Who's injured? Who's injured, right? Oh, no. Okay. It's Aaron Jones. He's back up. Hang on. I need to, what happened here? Can I watch this? Will you guys yell at me? Will you guys click off the video if I watch this replay real quick? He gets stuffed at the 2. At the 1. At the 2. Oh, this is fine. I need a big game from Aaron Jones right now, okay? I need to watch this, and I'll talk about this game. Back to the game on hand, though, of course, the Bears and the Falcons. So Calvin Ridley, the breakouts here, 13 targets, 5 receptions, another 110-yard game. To go through the yardage totals for Calvin Ridley so far this season, 130, 109, 110. Holy fucking shit, Calvin Ridley is the number 1 wide receiver for this team. I can't believe it. I didn't think it was going to happen, and yet here we are. Unbelievable, and I'm so happy to own him in Dynasty. Again, Russell Gage left early with that head injury. He did nothing for you. And Hayden Hurst also had a bit of a bum game as well. 1 catch for 1 yard and a touchdown. You would have loved to see more from him, especially in a game where Gage left early and there was no Julio Jones whatsoever. I can't believe that Hayden Hurst only had 3 targets. Other than that, nothing much of note here that I need to say. David Montgomery, I still think is a fine play moving forward. This Bears offense, I think, is going to improve with Nick Foles under center, and you're still going to start your Falcons week in and week out because they need to score points to win, and just this passing offense is absolutely electric every single game. So that's going to do it for my Bears and Falcons game recap. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. I'm trying to do this for every single week 3 game, so you don't want to miss out on any of those. You can also follow me on all social media platforms at FFVulture. Again, thank you so much for watching. Remember, people come and go, but fantasy championships are forever, and I will see you in the next video.